Okay, we are recording, continuing in Mad Max. Key was originally provided by WB Games when I reviewed it in 2015. And 2015 was a busy year. I looked at the list of reviews I did then because I finished the base game of Dying Light. I think I've mentioned this before. I'm trying to do a complete experience playthrough of that game. I know what I want. Yeah, that's not. So yeah, I finished the base game. I still have the following and Hellraid that I'm going to do. There were a total of 4 expansions for the game. 2 of them, one just adds quarantine zones. I don't really care. Another adds a challenge map, and it's like, yeah, I don't care about that either. So yeah, I'm just going to do the following. Hopefully I'll be starting that later tonight. We'll see. And Hellraid after that, which, I mean, I got no reason to really say, like, yeah, I should do Hellraid, other than it looks like it'll be fun. I mean, because, I mean, it's, the following at least adds, like, to the story. Okay, so that's a mission. What? Do I already have that thing unlocked? Oh, wait, I just realized I still have this. I didn't realize. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize I still actually had something here. Okay, so let's just go and do that then, not worry about this other stuff. Well,
give you my children as slaves, if I ever get any.
that was screwed up. It's like offering your kids as slaves. Yeah. Where is it? Ah, it's over there. Alright, yeah, so hopefully I'll... My hope, because apparently the following...
Sure what?
Sanctum, temple, altar, tower with a big cross on it.
Oh, yeah. That sounds easy to spy from afar. But, well, I know of no such place.
Okay, yeah, my hope, it may not end up happening, is to have the following done like over the weekend. It looks like it's only like 10 hours or so, which I can do in 2.5 days.
Hang tight.
Oh. Ow. And then Hellraid, I don't know how long that'll be, but, you know.
Get it running.
Oh, and I also put in an order for something. Won't come until December. Early December, it looks like. Well, first half of December, if I'm lucky. So, with the custom mechanical keyboard stuff, and yes, I do have 2 things on my list. I just don't want to forget about this as well. Like, what's left to me is I want to try an ortholinear keyboard. For that, I'm waiting for the version 7 plank come out. Which, that is, the plank is from the embryonic and the Proton C controller. Those are all from the same people that are behind QMK, and I just so enjoy working with QMK. I find he's so nice. It's like, yeah, I'll throw my money at
They will help diminish Scrotus's...
at the same people behind that. So yeah, I'm just waiting to see that. But I haven't seen any news for the V7 plank for a while. So we'll just have to see. And then also a split. And I know what I'd like to get for that. It's just I got even less of an idea when that may be. But the other thing is looking at different keycap profiles. So right now I'm using an OEM keycap profile, which is basically standard for most people. And like, this is what you would have on your pre-built mechanical keyboards. But I'm curious in some of the more exotic ones as well, and that, I get it. You're alerted. Actually, that's kind of helped.
Okay.
Ow.
They're over!
There we go. There. But I saw that one that I am curious about. One profile. There are. Cool. Wait, what? I didn't eliminate. I'm confused. But one profile that I'm curious about, that I'm interested in, is called MT3, and it's a high profile. Like the keycaps can be quite tall, and they're meant to be similar to the like old IBM type keyboards, and just it looks interesting. I've heard good things, like seeing reviews for it, and a lot of people seem to say that they are quite comfortable to type on. And the place Drop has an exclusive license for the manufacture and sale of their profile, and they are offering a new set.
Oh, here it comes! A mighty duster!
This isn't good.
And you can already purchase them and at a slight discount. So I decided, I'll order that. Because it looks good, and it'll let me find out if it is actually nice and comfortable to use. I'm just gonna there pop that. So yeah, then in December I will hopefully have those and be able to do a keycap profile review of sort, which. It'll be interesting because I don't really have the ability to review the OEM keycap profile, because I've been, that's what I've been using for, could I say decades at this point? I mean, I guess this is not necessarily the case for the membrane keyboards that I had before my first mechanical keyboard, but certainly the mechanical keyboard, my first mechanical keyboard, and what I've been using, those are in fact OEM. So yeah, we'll just have to see how that ends up working out. Alright, and the no, I have 3 things noted to talk about. 2 involve Intel. You can, undoubtedly guess what one of them is. Wow, I am. Oh, damn. You want to know what's happening? I can't remember the controls. It's been 2 weeks, and I've been playing a very different game. Dying Light has completely different controls. Like, I was hitting space to dodge, which is correct for Dying Light. Not at all correct here. It's control to dodge. But the non-Intel news I've noted is Devolver Digital, of all companies, going public. Not really what I would have expected. But no, that they did. On the a London stock exchange, which seems a little odd since it is an American company, but hey, wherever it is that you want to do that, whatever. And reading their announcement for it, Devolver mentioned that going public is apparently going to help them with some partnerships that they couldn't have before. I don't know if that's a statement as far as like they need the additional capital, which they definitely brought some in from this. I think it was like 260 million they brought in very rapidly. And to be clear, by the way, since I haven't said it yet, the employees are still the majority stakeholders. For anyone wondering about that. the control and direction of the company should not change. It just should be a lot more revenue that they have now for supporting various developers. And I don't know if being public and having this money is going to help them with partnerships. Or, like, directly, like, oh, they couldn't do stuff because they need the money. Or if it was, it's easier to get certain partnerships if you are a public company. I don't know. But apparently Sony, at least is intending to. They either are intending to or have bought in 5%. Bought a 5% stake in Devolver Digital, which is certainly interesting. No idea what that may end up translating to. May not really come to mean anything. And apparently also NetEase, but I'm not entirely clear on that. So yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. But the fact that the company is still majority employee owned should mean then that we don't like have to worry about Devolver suddenly not being the weird publisher. And to also be clear on that, I mean, it's like we need a weird publisher like Devolver. I mean, I have never played Genital Jousting. I have no interest in playing Genital Jousting, but it is just one of those. It's not. The world in some way is a better place for having it been published because somebody had this very weird idea, and the fact they found somebody to publish it, that's kind of a good thing. I wanted to do the ground punisher, but it flipped to Shiv. Or the ground execution. But it flipped immediately. See, now I can't even see, because they're just bunching up on the wrong side of the camera.
Watch out! He's got a master! Come here! In my face!
Alright. The other news I have, both Intel related. One is seeing that, it's like, I'm not even sure how much this actually translates to. Is apparently Intel is somehow acquiring, so right, x86 is the big instruction set for CPUs right now, right? Both literally and figurative. Metaphorically, I guess I should say, instead of figurative. Yeah, x86 is itself a pretty damn large instruction set for all the stuff it has support for and needs to have support for. But it's also been at the heart of central processing units for decades. I mean, you basically don't have modern CPUs without that, short of ARM derivative, which for the majority of computers is not what's used. It's like it's just the Apple M1 stuff, phones, and some Chromebook type things that are using a Qualcomm build. Because I typically see it being Qualcomm built. Like that's where you see ARM. I guess also the Switch, because I think Tegra is ARM based. But anyway, there used to be multiple licensors for it, with obviously the two biggest ones being Intel and AMD. Well, VIA also had a license, or more specifically, their Centaur subsidiary. Whoop. Like they were coming up here. And apparently Intel is somehow acquiring that. It wasn't exactly clear from what I was seeing. Which that could just be me not really understanding. But like, if it's that they are purchasing, like, acquiring the talent from Centaur, and so there won't be anyone at Centaur working on it, or if they are in fact just acquiring Centaur itself. But either way, it still is, very significant, because that means that we may be going from, 3, which, 1 is not really doing much, to just 2, which should be the 2 dominant ones. But one thing I'm unclear about is it x86? Because x86 itself doesn't really matter much today. Because x86 itself is 32-bit. We're on x86 64, which is AM64. AMD's the one that made the modern 64-bit architecture instruction set that supports 32-bit as well. Like before the Athlon 64, I think it was. Intel was working on 64-bit, but didn't have anything that had the backwards compatibility, as I recall. I think, was it Itanium? They did make something that was 64-bit, but it didn't have backwards compatibility. And then just broadly speaking, IBM definitely had 64-bit first, but for their PowerPC design. So yeah, I don't know how significant, what it necessarily means that this x86 licenser is no more, essentially. One way or another, it sounds. I need a drink of water. Oh, that's bad. Actually, he needs one too. Yeah, I was supposed to hold it down. So yeah, I just don't know really what what it's going to translate to. But the fact that it's not like you're buying Centaur CPUs or VIA CPUs for desktops too often, it probably isn't going to impact anyone that much. Now the other bit is obviously Alder Lake, which I've looked at some of the reviews, and my impression, I've not looked at all that I could, by the way, is Intel is competing again, whereas they haven't been for quite a while.
Did it die too? Beauty.
So it's, like they actually have things that, are comparable to AMD's latest offering. But there's also a few things to keep in mind with that. One is, it's also a brand new architecture, whereas AMD's in the Ryzen 5000, Zen 3 stuff is a year old now. So not necessarily the most impressive. Oh, survey crews. Not necessarily the most impressive, necessarily. I mean, it's still good. It is still good. Competition is good. Competition is very good too. So there is that, but it's also painfully the efficiency is absolute garbage. Where it's like, yeah, it's able to compete with the 5900X and 5950X. It's like, yeah, it's able to compete with those. Finally, Intel is doing that. Is that like 100 watts or 120 watts more power? Which also means that it's, that much more heat you have to deal with. So, yeah, right now I'm not too impressed, but I am curious about something. I sent a message to Dave about it. Just, if we do an Alder Lake review, I would appreciate seeing an underclock test. Because I would not be surprised. Okay, yeah, so there are still 8 more fighters somewhere. Anyway, what I was getting to, I would not be surprised if it were to turn out that Intel is just really pushing things harder than they should, that they are pushing past the point of efficiency in order to claim the performance crowns that they want. Which, I mean, Intel has done that before, AMD has done it before, Bulldozer, those things were power hungry, but they, I mean, it's like, it annoys me whenever I've seen people trying to say that, in like, was it the 80? No. It was the 8086K and the 9900K? Crap, I don't remember now. But there were people saying, trying to describe in one of Intel's CPUs as, oh, the first CPU to, crack 5 gigahertz. It's like, no, AMD had that. One of the Bulldozer derivatives, the 9590? Was that it? That broke 5 gigahertz.
Hurry up, you piss bug!
But it was also in like a 250 watt product that wasn't necessarily that good at performing, because Bulldozer did not have very high IPC. Yeah, AMD kind of made 2 bets with Bulldozer, both of which ended up proving wrong. Though one less wrong than the other. The mostly wrong was their approach for multi-threading, essentially, which was... And it's not incorrect, it just didn't work out. Which was that, that because most of the operations that a computer does are integer-based, they doubled the integer cores, but did not double the, floating point. So you would have these clusters of 2 integer and 1 floating point core, or processing units inside, right? And that, even though it might still be accurate that you actually don't use the floating point that much, it still didn't really work out that well. But also, there's the, they made a bet on higher frequencies and lower IPC. Or at least not as strong of IPC. Because Bulldozer, it clocked very high. It's like, there's a reason it was able to achieve 5 gigahertz. But the cost there was it had lower IPC. So you ended up with something that took a lot of power for a high frequency that wasn't necessarily that efficient with its cycles, and with a threading design that basically did not become the standard. If it had become the standard, then maybe things would have been different, but no, it probably would not have been. Although, in a way, that is what you see today with the hybrid designs of Alder Lake and the ARM Big Little stuff. Wait, seriously? I cleared this? Wow, that was really fast when you think about it. So I do want to get down here. Okay, you know what? I'm actually going to go up here. Here, that. And basically work around. But yeah, as I was saying, it was sort of like today how we had with Alder Lake and the Big Little design. The thing with Alder Lake, yeah, and apparently this is all kinds of confusing. So the Gracemont, that's... pretty sure it's Gracemont are the smaller cores, the E cores. They lack AVX 512 capability at all. It's just not there. Whereas the P cores, apparently they actually do have AVX 512 capability there. Allegedly, Intel was like fusing that off, because what they wanted to do was basically, hey, it's an AVX 512 workload. Okay, it cannot go to the E cores, it has to go to the P cores. But they never got that working, is my understanding. So instead, they just decided to not have it enabled at all, which is kind of fair because there aren't that many workloads that really use AVX 512. And it sounded like from one thing that I saw, even for some workloads where AVX 512 can be used, it's actually not necessarily any faster compared to just compared to just running it normally without that kind of acceleration, which is just funny.
Get it running.
I'm gonna just like hide because she's in rough shape. Okay. So anyway, going back to what I was saying with Bulldozer, is in a way you could say it's not dissimilar from this hybrid design in that you had a core that couldn't do certain operations and another core that could. It just didn't have as much overlap between them, I guess. That's not to say, any kind of defense for Bulldozer. It definitely had weaknesses that were significant. But just that there is a certain analogy that could be made there. Anyhow. Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what the future is. Because while it is certainly good that Intel has, it is being competitive again, I'll just say that personally, I'm not, from what I have seen in reviews, I don't think it would make me be like, ooh, I gotta go to Intel or whatever, because it's like, I don't need to the 12900K would definitely be faster than my 1950X right now, but my 1950X is still pulling like half the power of it, okay? If I were to go to a 5950X, which would be more powerful than what I have now, except for memory bandwidth, it would be pulling still less power than what I'm using now, but then again, it's like, a half of what Alder Lake would pull. So, and I do care about that. It's like, yeah, I get the point that for the most part, you don't really care about how much power your CPU pulls. I get that. But it's, you have to cool it. And it's like, well, I've got, I put the Noctua air cooler on this thing, and I've been perfectly happy with that. It's a nice compact cooler and not too expensive. Apparently, the 12900K is kind of calling for like a 360mm radiator if you want this thing to not be at 100 degrees Celsius all the time. Well, when loaded. I mean, all the time is obviously an exaggeration. But you get my point there. I mean, it's... If you want some freedom of the cooling, you either can't go top end though, or you have to go AMD. So I do think it will prove interesting what will ultimately come of Alder Lake and these designs. And for anyone saying that, oh, well, hybrid doesn't make sense on desktop, I don't remember where it was, but I did see somebody making a point, and it's like, actually, it makes a lot of sense. If you look at the block diagram for Alder Lake, I think block diagram is correct. But in any case, if you look at it, what you'll notice, what you need to notice there, the P cores are big. The E cores are tiny. They fit 8 of the E cores into the space of 1 P core. Okay? There are some workloads there where the number of threads is far more important than the performance of those threads. Video encoding with X264 is an example. Like, at least at 1080p, I can understand 1440p, unless you're getting very high thread count. Having 8 cores that, what does it go to? 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, something like that? That will handle that workload just fine. That'll be perfect there. So imagine you going to have like 16 of those there. Like a 6 plus 16 Alder Lake design. Just because it's right here. Oh wait, I didn't see what that was clearly. I'm not doing that yet. I want to upgrade, because I'm just not feeling good against the things right now. Like, I feel like an upgrade or two would help. Anyway, but a 6 plus 16, that would be like, you know, streamer's dream kind of thing. Because if you could put 16 threads to encoding, 16 Skylake? I think it's Skylake level threads that are, they don't even have to be, you know, at 4 gigahertz, you know, just near that, 3.7 gigahertz. Like right now I'm using 3.8. I have the 1950X at that. And now true, it is 32 threads, but it's, you know, my point is still, it's, you know, they don't have to be going all that fast. So 16 cores that could be dedicated to that, and, you know, at, you know, the near 4 gigahertz, and then like 6 other cores, that would be 12 threads, that can be clocked, you know, like 4.5, 4.6, 4.7. Yeah, that would be, you know, ideal for a lot of streamers, because, like, yeah, I can stream all on the same system, and so long as the encoding is being done just on the E-cores, which would be able to handle in that situation, the P-cores would be completely free. You shouldn't see any real degradation in your game, which, by the way, Dying Light definitely shows it. Sorry, I collected performance data, and oh my god, it was, when not recording, it was so much better. Now, true, I was encoding 3 different streams at the same time, but it still is, some games are a lot more sensitive than others. And that one was barely sensitive to the recording. But, yeah, so as a way of getting more threads, more cores, the hybrid design actually does make a lot of sense. And it is the whole, it does, some things do care for threads more than frequency. And you do not want to neglect that.
Stomp it, and we'll tear that.
I'm not necessarily convinced that Alder Lake is a good example at the moment, but it makes sense for Intel to try this. AMD will as well eventually, though how they do it, we don't know yet. I did see one thing with some speculation how they may do it. But it is definitely a valid, viable strategy in my opinion. No, I'm not going to bother with that. Let's just keep going. But yeah, with AMD, like I saw some stuff that when they get to Zen 4, which will be the next one, they may make a variation of it that would be cut down. I mean, it would still be fully featured for like x86-64. So still be a perfectly competent core, but like wouldn't have AVX 512 support, kind of thing. I have no idea where that guy went. Oh, there he is. There we go. Do I have to shoot it? I might have. I don't use these much, so should be safe. There we go. Then I'll hit this. But the idea would then be with this smaller Zen 4 die is you use that as the little cores. So basically using a cut down version of the prior generation, pairing with then Zen 5. But also, I mean, if you just had, that variant of Zen 4 as a CPU, it's like if you had if it still supported SMT, you would probably have a lot of people just happy with that. And because of the smaller size, they draw less power, if only by virtue of there's less area to... There's less circuitry there to take power, to take energy. So yeah, I mean, it's... The next 3 years is going to be very interesting for chip design.
Only the living and the dead now. No egos.
But yeah, the big takeaway though, I'd want to repeat what I said earlier, is that with the smaller cores, the E cores, or whatever they'll end up being for AMD, it's another way to get a lot of threads into a single CPU, and in potentially a very compact way as well. I was like, here, imagine, so with Ryzen 5000, we currently have 2 chiplets for the 5900X and 5950. So one of them can hold 8 cores, 16 threads on its own. Now, imagine if the other could hold 16 then of the E-core equivalent. So that would be 24 cores, 32 threads, and that's if there isn't SMT support on the more efficient cores. If there is, then that obviously, changes the math some. But imagine having that. I want to look for water. That would be pretty powerful. Is that it up there? I think that might... I really want to heal. And also, don't forget, with the Vcache stuff, you may also be able to have a lot of L3 cache paired with those cores as well. I also kind of wonder, I can believe it wouldn't happen. Oh, I was probably seeing those. Damn. Oh, wait, no, there's a water thing over here. I would be curious if AMD were to try to stack efficiency cores on top of performance cores, or the reverse. I think, I don't know. Efficiency cores on top might make more sense because they should take less power, and you don't want to have to just send as much power through a core. I'm just yeah, I mean, it's... I don't... Well, yeah, I guess they could, but I don't think if they were to go to stacking like that, I don't think they would do that until they've successfully tested more than 2 stacks. So, like, at 3 or 4. Because with the cache, I want to say that made a lot of sense, because that cache doesn't necessarily take a whole lot of energy, so you don't have to worry about interference, signal interference from just powering it. Whereas you would have that concern with, oh, it's on this. You would have that concern with an actual core, so, yeah. But it is, you know, lots of interesting stuff is coming. We'll just have to see, you know, what gets here first and how well it performs. There it goes. Alright, where to next? I mean, since I'm going around clear, well, whoa. And I also saw, apparently, there's been some hinting for Ryzen 6000 coming, like, in January, like, you know, kind of rumor kind of thing that might be coming. And I don't know. Just, you know, having seen that rumor, I don't know how much I'd necessarily put stock into that, because I don't think AMD would be wise to have the Zen 3D, so that's the V-cache, the L3 V-cache on top. I don't think they would be wise to make that a 6000 series. I mean, just...
Wait here.
Of course.
Yes, based on the numbers that have been shared, the increase would be about a generation increase, but I think it would still make more sense to go to a, like 59... Well, yeah, wait. 5955, I guess? I don't know. I mean, it would be... I will grant, though, trying to slot in the naming scheme might be tricky.
Love didn't conquer all after all.
Although that does also remind me, some are saying that AMD needs to drop their CPU prices. I don't think anyone can disagree with that. Yeah, unquestionably, AMD has been enjoying a level of dominance that has also allowed them to, you know, demand a bit more, a bit higher price. Not an unfair price, I think. But they have been, you know, enjoying greater margins because Intel wasn't competitive enough. Now Intel is, so yeah, hopefully AMD will lower their prices, either officially or unofficially. And by unofficial, I mean, you know, like they would start saying to retailers and such, hey, we know that the MSRP is this, but you can, you know, start selling them at that, you're good. As opposed to, like, changing the actual MSRP. And that is, like, right there is one of the reasons why competition is good. Because it allows them, well, it gives reason for, seriously? For those that are taking advantage of their market position to no longer take advantage of it. Because they can't. But it is, of course, a little bit more complicated than that.
Ah, cack. Slay me if you wish, I don't care. We'll all die here. That stanky gummo, he got kill fever. Lord Scrotus, his big sodomaster, has given him orders to corpse this land up. We've got precious little time. Wanna split this loot with me?
Yeah, it's more complicated than that because you do have situations where even though the market leader... Well, the heck? What is you? But there have been times where the market leader as far as sales and pricing, is not necessarily the superior technology. Like, that has happened between NVIDIA and AMD before. Was that the R9 200 series? Wasn't that one of those was beating the Titan? Now, true, this was years ago, yeah. But it was still, it's like, which was they were selling better and selling at a higher price? NVIDIA. Because NVIDIA enjoys tremendous mind share. Intel lost that when the original Zen came out. Their mind share weakened tremendously. And then Zen Plus, yeah, it you know, wasn't bad, but I mean, may not have weakened it too terribly much. Continued to weaken it too terribly much. But Zen 2 definitely did, and now we're on Zen 3 and it's killing it.
Waiting. I did this once. Didn't I?
There. I really should just fast travel around to a lot of this. But yeah, there have been times that NVIDIA was not the best, but they still commanded that loyalty. They still had that much power in the market, for better or worse. Oh, that it is on the other side.
Boy, horde approaching!
In a way, you actually do have that now as well, where AMD does offer for rasterization the better, like the, what is it, the 6800 XT. The 6800 XT definitely beats the 3090s, I recall, from at least launch reviews. It's been a while since I've looked. You know, for $500 less, beats it at rasterization in most cases. At ray tracing, no. Ray tracing, NVIDIA still has the lead for one reason or another. And I say that just because it is worth that, having that qualification. That's not necessarily that NVIDIA's ray tracing solution is better. It can also be that NVIDIA's ray tracing solution is what most ray tracing implementations are designed to take advantage of. I can't quite remember what the breakdown is, but it's like NVIDIA is really good at finding. Hang on, I'm kind of sorted. So there's two things. Okay, the way ray tracing works, the ray tracing acceleration works, is there's a bounding volume hierarchy, which, if you've ever seen the original Tron, when Flynn is initially scanned in, that's what it is. That is what a bounding volume hierarchy is. Where it's basically you get a whole bunch of boxes around an object, and the largest boxes are on, you know, the top level, and the idea is you just determine does a ray intersect with this box or not. If it does, you then go another level down, where it has smaller, finer boxes. So then it's a question of, okay, is it within these smaller, finer boxes? And it can keep going down so many levels. Eventually, though, you do exit the BVH, and you need to determine, okay, does the ray intersect the actual triangle, you know, the object itself? I don't remember which is which. I think it's like AMD is better traversing the BVH, worse at the triangle intersections. NVIDIA is the reverse. It's better at the triangle intersections, but worse at the BVH. So it's one of those, if you design to one, then the other is in fact at a relative disadvantage. So if we ever have a game or engine that can optimize for both, that would be interesting to see. But it is possible, it was my original point, that it's not necessarily that NVIDIA's solution is better. It could just be that the games are predominantly using a short BVH, so it goes to the triangle intersection sooner, which NVIDIA is strong at. Whereas if they had the BVH be deeper, then that would be an advantage to AMD. That might be how it is working out. So you can't just say, "Oh, NVIDIA is better." There is greater nuance than that. I'm just gonna get up. We'll figure this out later. But for rasterization, no. As I recall, the 6900 XT beats the 3090. The 6800 XT, I believe, beats the 3080. I don't remember if the 6800 non-XT beats the 3080. It definitely beats the 3070, but again, just for rasterization. And I want to say that each of those, the AMD GPU is less expensive. So with that being the case, then shouldn't it be that the Radeon GPUs are selling better? I don't think they ever were. Those, obviously, we do have the whole, manufacturing crisis at the moment, silicon manufacturing crisis, so that does complicate it.
I don't mean
But
to
it is still, that is
the angel.
the case, and yet most people today would still buy the NVIDIA stuff. Even if they don't necessarily have a need for ray tracing or DLSS. Obviously, should include those qualifiers, because if you do care about that stuff, right now, yeah, NVIDIA wins. I personally don't care that much. I mean, it's like I've said many times, ray tracing will, predominantly be a horizontal image quality movement in a lot of cases. So there still is. So it's, it's not that big a deal yet. And also I want to see how ray tracing develops in non-graphical ways. Like one thing that... What the heck? That was weird. But one thing that occurred to me when playing in Dying Light was there was a time when I couldn't see my enemy because he was on the other side of a tree. He could see me, though. And this happens in a lot of games. Where their vision is not obstructed, yours is. In theory, you could use ray tracing. You could send a ray out from the enemy character to look and see if... Where's the next? Yeah, let's whoop here. You could do that for it to then determine, could the enemy even see you? My understanding is that AMD's hybrid approach, where the ray tracing can be controlled by a shader, that it would be easier to implement there than with NVIDIA. But it is also just Vulkan's built-in ray tracing extension and DXR, what is it, 1.2? 1.1? Whatever the latest version is of DXR, both support that. So the NVIDIA GPU should also support such non-graphical use of ray tracing, but it might still be that AMD's hybrid approach makes it superior. But as I said, I'm not sure. I'm not aware of anything actually taking advantage of that. And for anyone like wanting to be like, oh well, there's ray traced audio. It's like, yeah, ray traced audio has been around for a while though. So it's that didn't require such specialized hardware. Like the Steam Audio API has had that capability for a while. I don't remember if it utilized Radeon rates. It might have for its implementation. But it oh, that's already opening as well. But that was, any GPU can achieve that. That's not restricted to just AMD or NVIDIA. Yeah, so. Oh yeah, and also, can't neglect that Intel is getting into the GPU with accelerated ray tracing as well, and we don't. And yeah, I want to say nobody knows outside of Intel what their implementation is going to be like. Is it going to be more like NVIDIA's? Is it going to be more like AMD's? Is it going to be something completely different? Don't know. As they likely would have been working on it though before RDNA 2 came out, you could not go with the belief that, oh well, because they see that NVIDIA's solution is better, they're gonna have something like that. No, because they might have been like, we think that this other solution would be better, that this is where you need the acceleration more. You need more for traversing the BVH, because you just use a deep BVH, and you're good. Because that, I'm actually not sure how BVHs are made. Those might be pre-computed. So that's basically more work when you are making the game, less work when playing. But I don't know. I truly don't. I'm just speculating on that one. But my point is just, it could end up being very similar to AMD's solution. How do I get it? And if that is the case, then that may give a substantial advantage to the AMD solution, because now you have two vendors that prefer that, and Intel and AMD would be able to throw money at developers then to optimize to their design.
Nothing goes to waste. Everything was something.
That one. And I'll probably go in there and at least figure out about the next project. If that stuff is. Damn, dude, go all the way. Just trying to think if there's anything else. Oh yeah, there was one game I just remembered that I didn't bother writing up the press release I got for that, because I'm not sure how much the OCC community cares about dating sims. And this one was apparently with the twist of it being a bowling date night. Date bowling night? I don't remember which it is, but that's actually like the name of it. It's from Serenity Forge though, if you want to look that up. And it's like, yeah, on the one hand, I do want to cover it because I want to cover, all the press releases I get if they're relevant to PC, but it's also like, don't think dating sims is quite our audience.
Water? For me?
I'm too weak to get.
treasures. But not you.
I'll remember this.
Oh, I did see one thing that I don't know when. I asked, so hopefully it'll be soon. Or at least I'll find out soon. But, the GPU thermal trends article that I've been working on for so long, that might be able to go live soon, it looked like. I hope so. I mean, it's just the whole, when you spend months on a project, you want to see it get published and recognized. You know, just for that little bit of validation that, you know, all your effort isn't just, you know, for your own small little corner of the internet. Because I, you know, put up on GitHub, so you can just see it there if you want. Okay. Oh no, water storage is still need to get that. But the other two of those I can already do. Cool. I don't know how long I've been going. I'll check. Actually, I think I may be at about an hour. I don't remember quite when I started, but I think it would have been about an hour ago. There. And where is the... What is it? Survey. Which is going to explode the map. Because that's what puts everything on it.
Let's say, sure brought good.
There. Oh, yeah. Okay, and now water storage.
You got to mark a death on you, waster.
Which must be up.
Hey, I heard there's a
what?
chief they given to the race winner in Gastown.
Okay, I think it is after.
That's stacked out to get it.
Find the place in the picture.
We see the cover.
Yeah, I still have to do that, don't I? Seriously, where is water storage? And I think I even remember this from when I originally played and reviewed the game, that it is just, you have some spots like this where you have no idea where anything is. And such a... Because it's just such an inconvenience that is totally unnecessary. Okay, here. One over here, so that I shouldn't be too hard to get. Where's... The other one's all the way over there. Neither of them are that. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it. It shouldn't take too long. It'll still be like in 10, 20 minutes. I got that much time. And it's just the whole, I don't want to forget. But I am, like, gonna get, you know, go straight there as best.
Buzzards approaching!
And avoid what enemies I can as well. Sorry, I looked down to see something about the keyboard.
Gasoline, like these cans.
Feels a little bit off the preferred alignment for my hand, and I just wanted to quickly look and see if that was the case. Fuck. Okay, I do have to follow this. I could tell from the map there was enough blocks here. That's not like I could try to cut across to get to it.
Stay put.
Yes, I will not leave her here.
There we go. Woo. Oh, and there's a third. Where is 3? So we can get to the center. That is still such a classic television. I don't remember if they still play it.
There, did you hear that?
They might. That classic Tootsie Pop, how many licks does it take kid to get to the center? Kid asks the owl and the owl just bites it off at the end. It's kind of like the classic M&M commercial for Christmas. With where they see Santa and the yellow one, no, the red one faints because he does exist, and then you got this Santa who says they do exist and faints. That one they still play. Where is? It's completely seasonal, but they do still play that one. Okay, seriously, where the hell is this last piece of scrap? This is just annoying. It's possible. I don't like it, but it is possible it's actually up here. Yep, it is. That this is all considered one. Not exactly going to be the cleanest, but this might prove faster.
They're convoy! There are a lot of them!
Okay. Now I can go this way.
Forget not the grand mojo what sits on the hood! An ornament of great power for us!
Boom. That was actually kind of a neat flip, wasn't it? Oof, 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 oof. Ate it, though. I wonder how spread out this. Oh, need to go deeper. Check back here for.
Company! We're under attack! Vermin approaching! Your turn to hurt! Get in the cell now! What? We can kill war boys, you slime! We can kill you!
There. This is not good.
Save it!
Oh, I just remembered one other piece of news that can talk about. Oh man, because I was just thinking like through with the whole, yeah, Older Lake is nice and all, but there's all power utilization. There's also apparently you really need Windows 11 to take advantage of it, which I mean that's anything but surprising. But apparently, man, Microsoft cannot help but make things bad for themselves. Apparently, some of the features were not working recently because a security certificate expired. It's like, what the hell are you doing that, like, the snipping tool doesn't work because a security certificate has expired? Security certificates you need, when you're connecting online. What has that got to do with the snipping tool? That's basically a powerful print screen. What's going on with that? Yeah, I mean, I am happy to stick on Windows 10 for a while. And I will also grant that is one of those things where it's like, go with Linux. One of the Linux distributions. Yeah, kinda. We're not quite to where that's completely viable. Although, I guess for a laptop. Like, right now, I want to say one of the main things is the GPU pass-through for, like, gaming. Where you can virtualize Windows on Linux. Oh, wow. Got an achievement. Complete all optional objectives in all camps. Neat. I didn't even see that pop up. But yeah, being able to like do it in containers or just virtualize most applications, it's like, yeah, for a laptop, I could do that probably and like be running Linux and just have Windows for running some stuff occasionally on there. For a desktop where I game, no, it's not quite there yet. The GPU pass through stuff is not quite there yet. It is getting there though. There are a lot of people that are working towards that. But yeah, at some point you may see the future being where you just run Linux and virtualize Windows just when you need it. And for some, some people tell you that's going to be a better and safer way to do things, because that means that the Linux operating system, you have the benefits of its security compared to Windows, and also you can isolate things. So you could have like a web browsing container that cannot access your documents, cannot access your shopping container, your banking container. It's like that is something that is more doable in that kind of setup than I think with just running Windows directly. But yeah, I mean, at some point, whenever I get a new laptop, I may try doing that, but that's not going to be for a while. Anyway, see you next time. Probably continuing in Mad Max, but we'll see. Maybe there'll be an update to one of the early access games. See you then.